Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 116th Fireside Chat. This is the first of our doubleheader today, which is crazy to say. We have two amazing guests today. This morning, we have somebody who actually recently started to write for us and just put out two amazing articles for us on heat acclimatization and running biomechanics. Uh, Two things that I probably should do more thinking on. They're also the owner of Train4 Body&Mind, a new launch coaching service. This person is multifaceted, a PhD, an ultrarunner, makes really amazing videos on their channels. Like when I seriously need laughs on Instagram, and need like help with my creativity, like I go to this person's videos and it cracks me up every single time. So great sense of humor, really smart person, really talented ultra runner who actually started in the sport not too long ago. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Irene Molina-Gonsalez.
Hey, hello. Hello, everyone. How are you guys?
Good. How are you? It's so good to finally have you on the show. I'm excited to chat with you on the Fireside Chat. But, before we get going, I'm sure you already know what's coming. We have to ask you the icebreaker question. uh, so, are you ready for the question? All right.
I am. Let's go.
Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay? And I'm scared of the answer.
Oh, goodness. It's because I've been thinking on the answer. What am I going to say? I would say yeah.
Yes.
I'm just going to add that this must be a European take. I mean, Irene's from Barcelona and she's living in Scotland, so that's got to be a European opinion at this point, right? Like that didn't really just happen.
Oh my goodness.
Pizza's good with anything, I would say.
Oh, yeah, I like
That's
that.
That's not true.
I was not expecting that at all, but I'm very happy with this answer.
Yeah, I was not expecting that at all either. I'm shocked.
Well, it's really great having you on the show, and I think to start things off, I want to talk about your how it all started story. If you guys haven't read,
Why, do you think I was going to say no? Why?
Because you were born and raised in Spain, which is really close to Italy, and I cannot imagine that any of the folks in Italy are like, yes, please put pineapple on our wonderfully perfect food item.
Oh man, I think Irene's answer broke the internet. you know, we were talking about this in the green room. It is just kind of awesome that our biggest problems today are like help. Like I'm having lag because I'm talking to someone halfway across the world.
Right.
Like I'm literally talking to somebody who's across the pond right now. Whereas like maybe 15, 20 years ago, you're either sending emails, and go farther back than that, you're sending postcards like across the ocean, and we're having this conversation, and that's cool.
That's true.
Um, so I was saying that, well, actually, Jason was saying that because you're in such close proximity to Italy, it's a very surprising answer to have pineapple on your pizza.
True, but I have to say on my side that once I was eating pizza with an Italian, and I was eating pizza with Calleri, and he called me rude because pizza should be always eaten with your hands. So actually, I don't know how to eat pizza. So yeah.
All right. I wouldn't call you rude for eating pizza with cutlery. It's totally acceptable. I would call you rude for eating pineapple on pizza, though. Like, come on.
Wow, that's shocking that you would say that you would be okay with cutlery.
Yeah, I'm good with cutlery. Hey, man, just get it in your face hole, however you can do it.
So Dr. Irene, you recently put out a story on our website for your How It All Started just a couple days ago. And one of the things that fascinates me the most about your story, I say that as we're going through a bit of lag. Oh, there we go. For those of you guys who've been around for the show for a couple years, you know that this has happened in way worse fashion before.
Well, here's the thing, right? We're discussing heat acclimatization here today. Dr. Irene has put out a fantastic article about it. And we are in the throes of summer in the northern hemisphere, and it's super important to pay attention to your hydration, your nutrition, honestly, your recovery as well, and not like ignore it, for lack of a better phrase, when you're going through this process. Like, we all want to get better, we all want to get stronger, and oftentimes we get worried about missing a workout. But if you're drained and you don't have enough hydration in you, that workout's going to feel terrible and potentially lead to injury. And so putting yourself in that predicament just doesn't make sense. And so, Dr. Irene, I'd love to get a little bit more insight from you on the importance of acclimating to the heat. But the question I want to ask is, should we be doing this in sort of a stair-step manner where we're training for a shorter period of time, and as things get as we get more acclimated to the heat, be able to go longer? Or is it okay to go out longer periods of time to begin with, so long as we're hydrated and have gotten enough calories in us as well?
Yeah, so I think if you want to start, I would start with shorter sessions. And also in periods in which training is not very intense, because actually heat is quite metabolically demanding. You can do it either way, like during tapering time, which is obviously when you're going to be resting, or during the off season, and then do heat acclimatization and also workouts in the heat, which is going to improve a lot your fitness. And then you can maintain this acclimatization over time by doing sessions in the sauna, like a couple or 3 days a week. And then you can prolong the benefits for longer periods of time. And then, you can obviously do longer sessions in the sauna because you're going to be well acclimatized.
Should we be considering getting in the sauna during the season as well, and like in the summer time? Or is that something do at the prep?
I would do it during the prep, because at the end, if it's hot outside, I don't think there's the need. I mean, you can, but I don't think there's the need of doing it more. Yeah.
That makes sense. And I think that the sauna sounds very important, especially I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, I have a very hot race coming up myself.
Mhm.
I did think about the people who live in colder climates, how a sauna might be important to them. Are there any other techniques or anything that you would recommend to anybody who's living in maybe a climate where they can't go out and get very a lot of heat?
Yeah, so you can either anything that increases your body temperature might work. The thing is that, for instance, if you don't have access to a sauna, you can go to an steam room, or maybe you can get on a hot bath. Actually, the problem is that maybe with hot baths, obviously the temperature is not going to be maintained at a high temperature. Also, you're not going to put the bath in such a temperature that you can get on the sauna. So probably you're going to need longer periods of time. It's harder to control. But I mean, there are also options, and are options that people uses.
If we're going into the sauna to help us prepare for the upcoming hot sessions, excuse me, what does recovery look different when you're coming out of a sauna or a steam room versus actually swim, bike, and run in the heat?
What do you mean by that?
So in other words, if I spend 20 to 30 minutes in a sauna, right, I'm sweating, but I'm not going to be really active in a sauna, right? I'm pretty much just sitting there.
Yeah.
Is that recovery going to be different than if I actually went out and ran 30 minutes? Is my recovery doing activity going to be different, or is it going to be the same in that scenario?
I think that, like, you mean if you combine both, like you go to the sauna and then you run?
Correct.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, you should try, but you'll see that you feel more exhausted actually. And actually, sauna is very interesting because with people that has had injuries, is a prescription that is applied to people. So that they don't lose muscle mass. So it's also a technique that is used in people to maintain and even gain muscle. So what it does is that heat stimulates some mechanisms in the body that simulate exercise. So it can activate pathways in our muscles, which produce hypertrophy, so muscle gain. It's very interesting, actually. And also when you're in the sauna, obviously you're going to have an increase of the heart rate. So you're going to need also to replenish with more carbohydrates and so on, because obviously you're going to be using energy.
So Dr. Irene, can you give our audience some background as you're giving us advice? We didn't do a really good job of introducing you in terms of your expertise. You have a PhD, you own a coaching business, but would you mind giving us a little bit of background on who you are so that people, when they hear this advice, are like, okay, she's an expert, something I should pay attention to?
Yeah. Well, my trajectory is quite like long, and I change a bit. So I come from Spain. I study biology with a specialization of biomedicine in Spain, and then I came to the UK to do a master's in biomedicine. I then went to Edinburgh to do a PhD in regenerative neurobiology. So basically, I was trying to investigate therapies that would repair conditions that would affect the brain and the spinal cord. And then during this time, I had a very hard time. I was a postdoc for 3 years, and then things weren't working out as I wanted. And then is when I started to run and became more interested in sports. And then is how I decided that I would change all this medical knowledge that I had more into the sports field. So it's then when I started to take on courses on rehab, coaching, and then I went on doing another master's in sports and exercise science and medicine because I hadn't had enough.
What's harder, getting your degrees or running an ultra?
I think that degrees, I think the PhD was the hardest thing I've done. Not just so it's not like what you learn, but it's how I don't know. I think it's the culture is very hard. Yeah.
What's one thing that you have the hardest time with in terms of convincing your athletes about the importance of? Is it nutrition? Is it hydration? Is it recovery? Is it easy runs? Is it intense runs? Like, what's the one thing that you find yourself repeating over and over and over again to the athletes you're coaching?
Polarizing training, doing easy runs, truly easy, and then being able to push on hard runs. That's something that, with my athletes, I struggle a lot to show them the importance of recovery, active recovery with the runs, so that then they can push hard, when they have to.
Do you one of the things that you were very vocal about in telling me your story was that when you went into your first ultra and your first 50K, you didn't really know what you were doing, and you made a lot of mistakes with nutrition and with working out and all the facets of ultras, which I think is very common when you're just getting into the sport. Do you feel like this helps you relate to your coaching clients better, knowing that you've made the same mistakes and you can say, I've been there and I've done that?
Definitely, because when you are running, you don't understand why you have to run slow, why you have to run fast, why you have to take that gel every half an hour, and you're just like, yeah, it's I don't know, like I'll just carry on, and yeah, if you carry on, yeah, things don't happen. Yeah.
You also took quite the leap in like 1 year, and I believe it was 2021. You did your half marathon. You jumped right to ultra in the same year. So what was that like?
Um, I don't know. Like as I said, so the problem is that I wanted to run that half marathon the year before. I was gonna run it with my cousin, but I had an injury. It wasn't a running injury related. It was a shoulder injury. But obviously, I couldn't train properly. So then I had to postpone this half marathon that I was meant to run with my cousin. And then, yeah, as soon as I got fine, then I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. And then I never saw myself as an athlete. I never saw myself as a runner. I never saw myself as like doing anything like that. And the first day I just run the distance, because it wasn't not even in a race. It was just me trying to run a half marathon. It was like, well, I might like be able to do something. So then is when I started to add in miles and miles and miles, and then yeah, I saw these ultra, and then I was like, yeah, let's try it and see what happens, and yeah.
What was that? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
No, go ahead on.
I was just gonna ask, like, what was that first 50K like for you? I think we lost Irene there in a bit of delay, but that's just technology being technology again.
Yeah.
There we go.
So it was beautiful. Like what I want to say. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah.
you.
So yeah, I actually run it. I wasn't meant to run it because I was already a bit injured, but I was very angry. I was angry because I was having yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Technology is amazing, isn't it, man?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just a bit delayed, but we can hear you.
Okay. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I was like, yeah, on a bad time during my PhD, and I was preparing a publication that yeah, was very hard to get published. And then I had some issues, and then I was like, yeah, I wasn't meant.
That one sounded like it completely cut out right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started. Yeah, obviously I was a bit injured, so.
Oh.
We're gonna have a good laugh about this later. I'm not gonna have a good laugh about this when I'm editing this in post for the podcast. But it's I appreciate I just have to say it. Dr. Irene, I just have to, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I mean, I can hear you.
I can hear you a bit, with delay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for being a good sport about all this. It's just technology is crazy.
So one of the questions I want to ask you, Dr. Irene, hopefully the delay won't confuse all of this, is you talked about your injury, and I'm wondering how you convey the message to the athletes that you're coaching about being patient with injuries and how difficult it can be to get through those before getting back up and training again.
I would say.
Yeah, the thing is that.
Here we go. I would say that if there's any, I would say that if there's any lesson we can take away from this, is that sometimes you just got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, these things happen. This is part of doing a live interview show for sure. But Dr. Irene, I don't know if you heard my last question, but I was wondering how you translate your process of going through injury and training to the athletes that you're working with. Are you able to convey to them that patience is a key factor in getting back out, running, swimming, and cycling? I don't know. This may be.
I always have to. If they don't do the things they should at the time, they are just gone.
Yeah, I think
we're going to have to re-record this with Dr. Irene and maybe do it not live so that we can then publish a podcast episode, because it's breaking up so much. And it's a shame because she's got a lot of intelligence and experience in this space, and would be awesome to tap into her experience and knowledge. But I think it's best if we tap the brakes on this one. This is a DNF for us in our Fireside Chat. Might be the first one ever. We've had DNSs, but this might be our first DNF in terms of getting this done. And maybe we'll record a conversation with Dr. Irene and put a new podcast out that is without any of these technical issues.
Yep. It might be our fourth or fifth one, considering how long we've been doing this. But, technology is mean sometimes. Like,
it happens, man.
And we do want to really get Dr. Irene's story out to everybody, because she is really really intelligent and really good at what she does. So
yeah.
And before we bring this broadcast down, I would just love to say, like, keep an eye out for Dr. Irene's articles. We just put one out yesterday on running biomechanics, and last month there was one on heat acclimatization, and there will be many more to come. And be sure to check out her website if you're looking for a coach that backs everything with the numbers. Train4Body&Mind.com. Train4Body&Mind.com.
Cool. All right, man. We'll see you in a few hours.